I know just how to whisper, and I know just
They marked weddings, heartbreaks, and millions of listeners around the world. With ballads like All Out of Love and Making Love Out of Nothing at All, they dominated the charts and touched the hearts of entire generations. But time went by, and the name Air Supply faded from the spotlight. What happened to this duo formed by Graham Russell and Russell Hitchcock? Today, you're going to discover the story behind one of the most enigmatic duos in global soft rock. It was May 12, 1975, under the lights of a theater in Sydney, that Graham Russell and Russell Hitchcock crossed paths. Between one line and another in the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, a connection was born. Two young men from humble backgrounds, Beatles fans, and with the same sense of humor. But it was when they joined their voices during intermissions that they noticed something rare, a natural harmony that moved those who listened. In their spare time, they started performing in cafes, pizzerias, and small clubs, just voice and guitar. Graham was writing original songs, and soon the duo became locally known for their vocal talent and musical sensitivity. In an interview with the website Unlocking Connecticut, Russell commented, "He's English, I'm Australian. The same kind of background, working class education. We both saw the Beatles. I saw them in '64 in Australia. He saw them in '63 in England, and we're both fanatics for them. We have the same sense of humor, the same interest in films. Everything is very similar. He's like my twin brother." With the support of the pianist Frank Esler Smith, they recorded a demo tape and knocked on the doors of several record labels. They were rejected by nearly all of them, except CBS Records, who were charmed by the duo's unique style and offered them a contract. Later that same year, they released their first single, Love and Other Bruises, which reached number 6 on the Australian chart. The success opened the door to something bigger. Soon they were opening shows for Rod Stewart, and the invitation extended to accompanying him on tours through the United States and Canada. It was their first chance to share their music with a new audience. But despite the excitement, the American response was cold. The duo returned to Australia and had to start almost from scratch. It was during this period that they released the album Life Support.
just another woman in my life. Just another woman. Come on, bring out the magic. Lost in love and I don't know much.
Among them was Lost in Love, which caught the attention of the legendary Clive Davis, president of Arista Records. He took a chance on the duo, re-released the song in the US in 1980, and that's when Air Supply took off. Lost in Love became one of the best-selling singles of the year, reaching number 3 on the Billboard charts. And the success didn't stop there.
I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you.
The second single, All Out of Love, climbed even faster and solidified Air Supply's presence on American radio. In 1982, the duo won the American Music Award for Favorite Pop Rock Duo. The recognition came the same year they released Now and Forever, which featured iconic tracks like Even the Nights Are Better and Two Less Lonely People in the World.
Out of all the people in the world, I just can't. And I know the light is fading.
In 1983, they released the powerful single Making Love Out of Nothing at All, written by Jim Steinman, the same producer behind stars like Meatloaf and Bonnie Tyler. The song was included on the Greatest Hits compilation, which sold around 7 million copies worldwide, 5 million of them in the US alone. The following years cemented their international fame. The duo began going on lavish tours and found particularly strong fan bases in South America and Southeast Asia, where many of their hits topped the charts. In 1988, they were invited to perform for Prince Charles and Princess Diana, both declared Air Supply fans. During the decade, they also released songs like I Can Wait Forever, 1984, Power of Love, 1985, Lonely as the Night, and One More Chance, 1986.
I can wait forever if you will. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready.
In the early 90s came albums like The Vanishing Race, with hits such as Goodbye and It's Never Too Late, especially popular in the East.
Give and forget. Tell me that it isn't us. And all the tears will blow away. Dust. You would never ask me why.
Between 1987 and 1990, the duo took a break from recording. Russell pursued a solo career, releasing an album and the single Swear to Your Heart, while Graham dove back into songwriting, revisiting themes he had carried since his youth. In 1991, the duo came back in full force with the album The Earth Is and the single Without You, winning hearts around the world.
Never learn to fly if living is without you.
Graham Russell and Russell Hitchcock are still together, both on and off stage. 5 decades after that backstage encounter during Jesus Christ Superstar, the two continue to move audiences around the world. In an interview with the Chicago Tribune in 2018, Russell summed up the duo's spirit perfectly. The truth is, we work really hard. We still do about 120 to 130 shows a year worldwide. We've always considered ourselves a touring band, and that's what we do. In Air Supply's early years, they played anywhere they could. The song Love and Other Bruises, which would later enter the top 10 on Australian radio, started as an acoustic performance in small shops and clubs. Since they were contractually tied to the musical Jesus Christ Superstar, they couldn't publicly promote their new project, Air Supply. According to a 2010 interview with Daily Breeze, Graham Russell recalled, "We couldn't say we were in Air Supply until we left the show. We left on a Saturday, and by Monday morning, we were already in the studio recording our first album. 5 days later, it was done. 2 weeks after that, the record was released, and our career began." The duo's first official concert took place on New Year's Eve 1976 at an outdoor event on the steps of the Sydney Opera House for a crowd of about 90,000 people. For Graham, the moment was surreal. In another part of the same interview, Graham revealed a more personal side of his story. At age 10, he lost his mother to cancer and didn't speak for 3 months. That pain led him to poetry and music. At 14, he ran away from home the night before his family was due to leave for Australia. 5 years later, he reunited with his father. It was hard, but also liberating. "I wanted to do things my way," he said. He ended up living with his uncle and dove into the local music scene, playing in bands and appearing on TV shows until he was cast in Jesus Christ Superstar, where he met Russell. "I always had my guitar with me. I'd play my songs between rehearsals and he'd start joining in. Next thing we knew, we were performing together." Russell Hitchcock, on the other hand, was born in 1949 in Brunswick, a suburb of Melbourne. He never imagined he'd become a singer. He worked for years in the parts department of a computer company until he was transferred to Sydney. There, encouraged by his girlfriend, he auditioned for the musical and met Graham. The rest is history. Today, Russell is 76 and Graham is 75, and they're still on the road. In 2005, they celebrated 30 years of partnership with the DVD It Was 30 Years Ago Today, and a historic concert in Cuba for 175,000 people, one of the largest audiences of their career. That same year, they released The Singer and the Song, an acoustic album with new renditions of their greatest hits. In 2010, they released the album Mumbo Jumbo, praised by critics and featured in Billboard magazine. 3 years later, in 2013, they were inducted into the ARIA Hall of Fame, the highest honor in the Australian music industry. In 2015, they celebrated their 40th anniversary with a special world tour. At that time, Russell commented, "It was an unexpected honor. We can't wait to return to Australia and thank everyone who's been part of this journey." And what's the secret to a 50-year partnership with no fights or scandals? Russell jokes, "Maybe the biggest disagreement we've had is over where to eat, because Graham is a vegetarian." Graham adds, "I never wanted to be a lead singer. Russell never wanted to write songs. We each know our role. There's no room for ego." And maybe that's what keeps Air Supply alive to this day. True friendship, mutual respect, and the certainty that they're doing what they were born to do. And best of all, they have no plans to stop. Did you already know the story of Air Supply? Which song from this unforgettable duo is your favorite? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. We post new videos every week with incredible stories from the world of music. See you next time.